So we are back with the 9.0 public test build patch notes featuring many new things that we've all been waiting for a long time, such as the fabled Five Nights at Freddy's crossover, as well as the anniversary event coming up for the final Twisted Masquerade. There are many big changes happening in this one, especially for a lot of new systems being added that they've been talking about for their quality of life changes, such as defending the Go Next system, as well as the much wanted bulk BloodPoint spending system. So without spending too much time going over the details here, how about we get right into the details of showing. So like usual, I'm going to be showing you all of the details visually if possible. There will be many times I won't be showing any visuals only because the differences are so minimal or non-visually discrete that I won't really be able to show you anything without it seeming the exact same. So first off, we're going to be starting with the killer balance changes, and first up we have the Lich, who's getting a whole plethora of balance changes to both their spells and just general capabilities. Fortunately, I can't really show many visuals for this changes because they're mostly time related or too vast to actually even see the difference on a video. So, you'll just have to take my word for it if you already know about the details, but I'll also be showing their past values. So, first up, now all of Lich's spells are going to be available at the beginning of the trial, whereas before it had a 15-second cooldown upon the trial beginning. I would name these off individually, but to make it simple, they have decreased the cooldown for all 4 spells by a flat 5 seconds each. Dispelling Sphere is going from 35 to 30, Fly is going from 25 to 20, Mage Hand is going from 40 to 45, and Flight of the Damned is going from 35 to 30, so everything's going to be a lot more accessible. They've also removed the interaction time locking the killer's camera when activating Dispelling Spear. They've changed the Dispelling Spear's projectile to move more quickly when first cast and slowing down over the next 3 seconds in order to spend less time traveling to the area immediately in front of the killer. They've increased the Killer Instinct duration once the survivors exit the Dispelling Sphere from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. Some nice fly changes coming in. They are starting off with a nerf by decreasing the end interaction time of flight from 2.5 to 2.75. Extremely minimal and not really that noticeable. However, they are increasing the duration of fly from 4 seconds to 5 seconds, so you get a good chunk more of distance. After that, they've increased the duration of the survivor pallet interaction delay after lifting a pallet with Mage Hand from 0.15 seconds to 0.5 seconds. This is meaning, of course, that if you lift a pallet while it is down to go stand upright again, the survivor can no longer immediately pull it down, basically, and there is a short duration for you to actually get a hit in or pressure them to get away from it. Some changes for the magic items. They have increased the Lich's aura reveal duration from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds when the associated spell is cast for each magic item. They've also increased the duration of the haste effect when survivors are equipped with the boots or gauntlets of the interloper when the Lich activates Mage Hand from 3.5 seconds to 4 seconds. They've also changed a whole chunk of add-ons related to the changes of these abilities to balance them out. I'm not going to list them here because they're too many and too meaningless. Alright, and coming up next for changes, we have the Artist. While the Artist herself is not getting any changes in terms of her overall capabilities and kits, she is getting a large amount of add-on changes, which I'm not going to be running over here, so if you wish you can stop and pause the video here to take a look for yourself, but a lot of them aren't that interesting. Alright, so moving on to the killer perk changes, we're going to be starting off with Thwack. They are increasing the reveal distance from when breaking a pallet or a breakable wall from 24 meters to 36 meters, and they are also increasing the survivor or reveal duration from 3, 4, and 5 seconds to 4, 5, and 6 seconds. After that, we have Hex Retribution. They are increasing the oblivious duration caused by survivors interacting with dull or hex totems from 35, 40, and 45 seconds to 40, 50, and 60 seconds. They're also increasing the duration that all survivors' auras are revealed when breaking a hex totem from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. Coming up next, we have a pretty good gen perk change. We have Call of Brian. They are increasing the duration that the gen is marked from 60 seconds to 70 seconds. On top of that, they're increasing the additional generator regression speed from 115, 120, and 125 to 130, 140, and 150%, meaning you get a solid 50% increase in the gen regression speed. After that, we have Thrilling Tremors. They are reducing the cooldown from 100, 80, and 60 seconds to 40, 35, and 30 seconds, a chunky half cooldown reduction. After that, we have Superior Anatomy. They are increasing the area detection for the perk to activate when a survivor vaults a window from 8 meters to 12 meters, and they are also decreasing its cooldown between uses from 30 seconds to 25 seconds. After that, we have Dark Devotion. They are increasing the duration that the terror radius is transferred to the obsession after hitting them from 20, 25, and 30 seconds to 35, 40, and 45 seconds. Additionally, they are increasing the size of the transfer terror radius from a set 32 meters to 40 meters. After that, we got Machine Learning. This is a perk that's been tossed around a couple of times ever since some meaningful changes. They are decreasing the haste value you get from when a compromised generator gets completed from 10% to 8%. However, they are bringing the duration of the ability back up from 40 seconds to 60 seconds at best. finally, we have Terminus. They've increased the duration of the broken status effect after a gate has been opened on any survivors that are still injured or downed from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Coming up next, we have the Survivor perk changes, starting off with Botany Knowledge. They are removing the healing item efficiency reduction, which used to be 20%. This means you no longer get any reduction in charge efficiency with healing items such as medkits, which also means you are now able to fully heal yourself with a medkit without having to run out of charges before completing the heal action, and also do it at the default speed as 16 seconds. After that, we have Champion of Light, where they are decreasing the cooldown from 80, 70, and 60 seconds to 60, 50, and 40 seconds. Similar to such, we have Light-Footed, where they are decreasing the cooldown from 28, 24, and 20 seconds to 14, 12, and 10 seconds after initiating a vault. Coming up next, we have Desperate Measures. They are changing the healing speed bonus for each hooked, down, or injured survivor from 10, 12, and 14% to 16, 18, and a flat 20%. Moving on to Exaltation, where they are increasing the item recharge amount for stunning a killer with a pallet from 25% to 75%. You get a lot more charges now. They are also decreasing the cooldown between these uses from 40, 35, and 30 seconds to 30, 25, and 20 seconds. It is worth remembering about this perk, though, a key detail mentioning is that it upgrades the rarity of your item, then recharges the item. So, if you have an item at the maximum rarity for that item type, stunning a killer with a pallet will not increase the rarity nor recharge the item charges, because the first part where it upgrades the rarity has to come first, and if it doesn't, then the charges do not come back. After that, we got Counterforce. They are increasing the bonus totem cleansing speed for each totem cleansed from 20 to 25%, and they are also increasing the furthest totem aura reveal duration from 2, 3, and 4 seconds to a massive increase of 10, 12, and 14 seconds, giving you a lot more time to remember where it was placed. And finally, they are increasing the stackable totem cleansing speed bonus to match the initial cleansing totem speed bonus from 20 to 25% so that it's the same value. And finally, we have Empathic Connection, where they are removing the range limitation for other survivors to see you while they are injured from 32, 64, and 96 meters to just infinite range. On top of that, they're doing a slight increase to the healing speed bonus, which used to be 30% across all tiers, and they are changing it to 25, 30, and 35%. Okay, moving on to some new quality of life improvement systems that are being implemented. We're going to be starting off by talking about the AFK Crow system rework. So survivors are now going to be considered AFK when not interacting with anything within the last 10 seconds, and that seems quick, but just hold on. While AFK, survivors accrue AFK points, during which the crows will gradually begin spawning above the survivor, beginning with 1 and capping at 3 like usual. Also, AFK points increase more slowly while moving or while in proximity to the killer, and after 90 seconds, the survivor reaches 90 crows and loud noises trigger at regular intervals. They did not specify at which the crows begin to spawn in, but if I had to assume, it's every 30 seconds after the timer has begun. Additionally, the survivor also loses their collision with other players for 10 seconds. Completing interactions will remove AFK points, crows are removed as AFK points decrease, and the system is disabled when the hatch spawns or when endgame collapse is triggered by any means. They mainly do this so that way, the only thing you're doing is running around looking for the hatch, so it can't give away your position. After that, the long-awaited bulk BloodPoint spending system. They've added the functionality to pop up a little window, and you can select any amount of levels that you are able to afford from specific set prices. The prices will not change regardless of what items appear in said levels, even though you cannot see them. If you were to buy 10 levels on any killer, it'll always be the same as it would be to be buying 50 levels on any killer. This is to make it so that it's a lot easier to spend your blood points in extremely quick succession. And also, of course, after you've made your purchase, it'll show you everything that you've purchased through the blood web on a little post screen. After that, we are talking about disconnection penalties. Disconnection penalties are now based on your last 20 matches played. Each disconnection in this set of 20 matches counts as a disconnection penalty point. Disconnection penalty points decrease as you play matches without disconnecting, previously decayed at a rate of 1 point per day. Basically what this means is the more disconnection penalty points you have within your last 20 matches, if you were to disconnect again, it would incur a longer penalty towards your matchmaking time, meaning that you'll have a longer time before you can queue up again. After that, we have a big change, which is the Go Next prevention. This is basically a giant system that will punish people that are trying to leave the game early, aka Go Next, by accruing a much harsher penalty towards them and also discouraging them from doing so, and also making it so that they are not able to do so as easily. The earliest option they would want to do to go next would be to disconnect, which is good, because if you're going to try to leave or give up, you would rather just have a bot, because if you're trying to leave, you shouldn't be in the lobby in the first place. When a survivor is determined to be doing this, they receive a disconnection penalty and lose 1 full grade. As a base game change, the attempt unhook ability is now only available in the following circumstances: if there are 2 survivors left in the trial, a survivor's luck is increased with an offering, or a survivor has equipped the slipper meat or up the anti-perk. It's also worth noting that Deliverance works for this situation. I think they just forgot to put that in. So, when more than 2 survivors remain, they may struggle while on hook, but with no chance of escaping or penalty of failure. Letting 2 struggle skill checks pass without any input will no longer instantly kill you, aka the way that people decided to intentionally let themselves die if they wanted to get it over with in the second phase. Also, the abandoned score event given to survivors when a teammate disconnects is now also granted when a survivor gives up via this system. And on top of that, they've increased the abandoned score BloodPoint event from 600 to 2,000 blood points. After that, there is a slight change to the final Mori system. This is basically the system that allows you to Mori the final person that is left in the trial only if they are the only remaining survivor left in the trial. So, now, they have changed it so that near the end of the trial, the killer can now activate a Mori when at least 2 survivors are alive, up to 1 survivor is alive, via the following circumstances. 1 survivor must be alive, healthy, injured, or dying, and 1 survivor must be on the hooked and specifically on the struggle phase. This is basically to make it so that we are allowed to Mori the final person that is available to be Moried, without having to wait for the second last person that's on the hook to just struggle it out, since that could take some time. Finally, they're doing a rework to the map and realm offerings. They're making it so that they are no longer a guaranteed chance to go towards that map type, and they are changing it so now it is a 20% flat chance increase, and duplicate realm and map offerings no longer stack. Also, gameplay-altering offerings, such as map offerings, will now be treated as secret during the loading screen, so no people will be able to see it. And finally, involving the spawn rules, survivors will now always spawn within 12 meters of each other by default when possible. Survivors now also spawn on the same floor of each other, also when possible. The survivor offering Shroud as Binding has been replaced with a new offering, the Shroud of Separation. Its new effect causes survivors to spawn apart from each other. It's basically the exact same that the killer one has, but it's also available to the survivors now. The killer offering, Shroud of Separation, has been replaced by a new offering, the Shroud of Vanishing. Its new effect causes all survivor spawn offerings to be rejected by the entity, aka the equivalent of the Sacrificial Ward, but for spawn locations. So, finally, saving the best for last, we are going to be talking about the brand new killer, Springtrap, coming to Dead by Daylight. We're going to be running over everything about him, as well as all the details that are not shown, because there's a lot of things that they do not tell you within the description. So I am here to inform you about everything. So starting off, he's a 4.4 meters a second movement speed killer, so one of the slower ones, and he is also a 24 meter tear radius killer. Moving on to the ability, his special ability is the Fire Axe. The Fire Axe ability functions similar to Huntress in which that you are able to throw it as a ranged projectile. However, that is the only similarity to Huntress. The axe itself has plenty of abilities. So, for one, the axe itself has a lot more gravity than a Huntress axe. You can throw it nowhere near as far as her, and also it grabs a lot more gravity, so it'll hit the ground sooner. Should you hit someone with the axe, it'll embed the axe into their back and damage them with a health state, from healthy to injured. As long as the axe is embedded in their back, they will receive the Oblivious status effect as well as the Broken status effect, preventing them from healing. It functions similar to when you have Victor on your back, where you have an animation that you can do while moving that will allow you to slowly try to shake the axe off your back, and eventually it'll disappear. However, unlike Victor, it will not force you to do an animation and stop still while doing so. It's also worth noting that should you hit someone that's already injured with said Fire Axe, it will instead put them into the dying state, instead of embedding it into their back, so it is a way to end a chase if needed. Another thing that's important to note about the axe is that you must recall it manually before you are able to use it again. Whether it's in an environment or on a survivor, after a certain amount of time, your cooldown will go off and you will be able to call it back to your hand at will. As soon as you do so, you'll be able to throw it again whenever you so wish. This means that if you really need to, you can throw an axe into somebody, but if they're being too troublesome to go catch, you can call it back and throw it at them again. However, there is another benefit to having an axe embedded into a person, and if they still haven't shaken it off yet. If you get within a certain distance of the survivor, typically within a grab range, you are able to do a special animation grab to retrieve the axe and immediately pick up the survivor. This is very, very useful to save you a lot of time. Unless the survivor is making it troublesome, then you'd be better off calling it back and hitting them with a range attack. Also, another thing related to the axe is the fact that if you do not land into a survivor and it lands in the environment, it leaves an aura around it that if any survivors come within a certain distance of the dome that you see, it'll reveal their location with Killer Instinct for a few seconds. However, this ability is not permanent. After a certain amount of time, the aura itself will disappear, but the axe will remain in the environment, leaving it useless, so you must call it back. After that, he comes also with a new map feature ability called the Security System. At the start of the trial, 7 security doors will be spawned randomly throughout the map. These are not in relation to any generator locations, they are going to be evenly spread around the map for easy movement. Each security door will have a camera attached to it, which is allowing the survivors to be able to look onto the camera system and look around the map through each door location. The cameras also have an ability to help the team. Should the survivor look at Springtrap, even through a wall, for a certain amount of time, it will reveal the killer's aura to all survivors for a short time, more than likely helping the survivor that he's currently chasing since he'll be able to see them through the wall. The survivors are also allowed to manually go through the doors and teleport to the selected door they were using as a map traversal ability. However, Springtrap himself is also able to use these teleport systems. Should he enter a door, it allows him to also have the ability to look around the map and select which door he would like to traverse to. It's also worth noting that he does it at a significantly faster pace than the survivors, for obvious reasons. Also, upon exiting a door and successfully using the transportation ability, you will receive the undetectable status effect for, I believe, somewhere between 10 to 15 seconds, giving you a large amount of time to sneak up on other survivors. Another thing that's worth noting is that if you throw the axe at a door, it'll disable both the door and the camera for the whole duration that the axe is in the door and for a short amount of time after the axe is retrieved. Another thing I should mention is that in the survivor's case, if the cameras are used for far too long, you will run out of power on the doors. Similar to how the games work, once you run out of power, your camera systems are disabled and you cannot traverse for that duration. The cameras will go back online after 45 seconds of recharge. It's also worth noting that just because the survivors can use these doors does not mean they go without risk. Like I mentioned before, since the animatronic is allowed to teleport to the doors, and the survivors and Springtrap both go through the same room, should either the survivor go to the door that Springtrap is currently in, or should Springtrap go to a door that's already being used for the survivor to be transported, you as a survivor might find yourself in a much more precarious situation. So yeah, be careful where you're going. And on that note, something worth noting about Springtrap that a lot of people don't seem to know about, if Springtrap is currently in the process of selecting a door, should any other survivors be selecting a door and traversing to it, it'll highlight both the door they are entering and exiting. Should the Springtrap go to any of these doors, it'll immediately perform the jump scare grab animation and put them into an immediate pickup. Oh, and sorry, one final note about the axe weaponry. If the axe is not currently on you, as in you have thrown it and it is currently in the environment or lodged in a player somewhere, your movement speed is changed up to 4.6 meters a second, meaning you go up to the default movement speed of most killers. This is important to remember because if you don't have your axe on you, you have a better chase capability. I know it's a little late to be mentioning that, but I forgot to mention that earlier in the editing, so it's going in here. And to finish it all off, if you haven't seen it yet, here is his Mori.
Over.
So, and finally, moving on to the Springtrap's perks, we're starting off with Help Wanted. When you damage a generator, it becomes compromised. When the compromised generator is completed, your successful basic attack cooldowns are 25% faster for 40, 50, and 60 seconds. After that, we have Phantom Fear. This one's actually a pretty solid perk. When a survivor within your terror radius looks at you, they scream and see your aura for 2 seconds. This perk is an 80, 70, and 60 second cooldown. This is basically the equivalent of Scene Partner, but for the benefit of the killer. After that, we have Haywire. Any exit gates with at least 50% progress regress at a rate of 40, 45, and 50% of the regular gate opening speed. While they are regressing, survivors see the exit gate lights flicker randomly. It'll only regress down to the 50% point. This is mainly designed to stop people from 99ing a door so that we can get a quick exit, but I'm gonna be honest, this perk is not that great because it's a whole niche thing. Now, I personally am not a big fan of how he roars like that, especially during the grab jump scare, but just so I can ruin it for you guys just a little bit, something popped in my head and I think you should see it. So, that's going to do it for the 9.0 public test build patch notes, including the FNAF chapter, as well as any and all changes that were done. I did my best to show as many as visual as I could, but I apologize for the ones that I couldn't because a lot of them were just simple time changes and couldn't be shown without making it extensively long or hardly even noticing the difference. As usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of thing. I know I missed the last one from the mid chapter, but to be honest, I didn't really care that much for everything they added, but the things in this one are a lot more enticing, as well as the stuff they're going to be adding more in the future. So, like usual, usual. If you guys enjoyed this kind of thing, I would really appreciate it if you subbed if you're new here, or if you just left a comment telling me what you thought about it. I really enjoy the interaction in the comments, or what people like about the certain video, if they like to say it openly. But other than that, this is going to be the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I'll see you all in the next one.